Hey everybody, so I wanted to talk to you today about some work that I did today with somebody on their pedal stroke. And those of you guys who have downloaded my ebook, you will know about the way that I describe the pedal action or the pedal stroke action and the relevant muscles that go into doing that pedal stroke over the top, under the bottom, in a forwards over the top, backwards under the bottom kind of manner. Now, if you are a cyclist or a triathlete who pushes down on your pedals, you'll know because your quads will be getting tired, they'll be getting sore. When you get off the bike to run, you'll be, oh God, this feels so hard, it feels so awkward, it feels awful. It feels like I have to get myself into my running muscles, get myself into my running action muscles. Now, for those of you who have downloaded my ebook, you'll know that the muscles in the front of your legs, they pull your leg forwards when your leg is off the ground. And the muscles in the back of your legs, when you're running, those muscles are what, as soon as the foot hits the ground, your calf, your hamstring, your glute in the back of your leg start to pull your leg backwards, but they can't because the ground is in the way. The friction on the ground is what gravity pushes you down into the ground, and then the muscles in the back of your leg, your calf, your hamstring, your glute, as my foot hits the ground, I've now got friction. Those muscles all work together. The calf brings the heel up, the hamstring then connects the pelvis to the tibia and the fibula as well, and then it pulls the leg back, which in essence projects you forwards. Okay? Now, when you're on a bike and you're clipped in, you've got to think of everything that goes from the 3 o'clock position in front under to the 9 o'clock position. You've got to think of that as when your foot comes from here to here in your running. So it comes from in front to behind you in your running action. You've got to think of that as being the muscles in the back of your leg. Okay? When we think of that in a running action, that's called a closed chain, or for most of the time, that's a closed chain. So it's the muscles in the back of your leg pulling your leg backwards. Now, when we're running, the muscles in the front of the leg, so we've got hip flexors, quads, and then the shin muscles, the tib anterior, a couple of other ones in there as well. But we need to think of those as pulling your leg forwards. Okay? So, as soon as the foot comes off the ground, hip flexors start to engage to pull the leg forwards, and then quads engage to extend the knee, and then we hit the ground again and we've got the muscles in the back of the leg working. So, from a 3 o'clock position, all the way to 9 o'clock should be all the muscles in the back of the leg, and then from a just past the 9 o'clock position here, like 10 o'clock, over the top to about 2 o'clock should be the muscles in the front of your leg. Okay, so I'm just going to clip in now. I'm going to show you exactly what that should be like. Now, if you're someone who pushes down, imagine I've just got to the top of the pedal stroke, I push down, I find the very bottom of the pedal stroke. I find a dead spot at the bottom. Now, I bet you any money, if you're somebody who pushes down, you're not going to be pulling up. Okay, you're just not going to be pulling up because those hip flexors, they don't do that very well. They're a very small muscle group. Also, when you push down, okay, if I show you with this one, if I push down with this and I'm not pulling up with this leg becomes dead weight. This leg becomes weight that this leg has to push against. Now, if I'm not actively pulling up as the other one's pushing down, then I've also got the weight of this leg and I've got to keep it going with that one. Okay? Now, here's my pedal stroke that I use. Here's my pedal technique that I use. And this is going to be more for triathletes because we have to think about getting off the bike and running. Now, if I have to spend the first minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, or even longer converting myself into a runner from being a cyclist, because I've got cycling muscles and then running muscles, which is, in my mind, doesn't work. It just doesn't work, frankly. You get off the bike, you need to have instant access to those running muscles. Now, if you've been using those running muscles when you've been cycling, you're going to have a much better off the bike action coming into your run. Okay, so here's what I mean by that. Now, I have my pedal just past the 3 o'clock position here. Now, if I engage calf, hamstring, so you see what happens when my calf engages. The heel comes up. I keep my heel above my toes. Now my hamstring and my glute engage, pulling that pedal backwards. Okay? Now I've got to just below the 9 o'clock position there. And now what I want to do is I want to get all of the other muscles in the front to pull my pedal forwards. Okay? Now if I can do that with both legs, I've got one leg pulling forwards as the other leg pushes backwards. So I've got a much, much more efficient pedal stroke. Okay? So I'm pushing forwards, I'm pushing backwards. As I'm pushing backwards with this leg, my other leg is pushing forwards. As I'm pushing forwards with this leg, the other one's pushing backwards. So the only spot, or the only time where I don't have specific power being applied to that pedal circle is from about here to here. As it changes direction, going back, it changes to going forwards. And then from about here to here. Okay? So think about this. If I'm someone who pushes down, I'm going to start pushing here, and I'm going to push to about here. Okay? Remember, at the same time, you're not going to be pulling upwards because those muscles are really not very good at doing that. So I've got my other leg being a dead weight to this leg. I'm pushing down into a dead spot. And I've only really pushed from, let's say, 1 through to 430. So that's 1, 2, 3, 3.5 twelfths of your pedal action that you're pushing with, you're providing power to. Okay? Now, my way, I get power from about here to about here. So from about 3:30 to about 8:30. That's 5 twelfths. Okay, that's 5 twelfths. And at the same time, the other one is pushing forwards for 5 twelfths. Now when it switches, I'm going to go from about here, the 10 o'clock position, to around about the 2 o'clock position, 2:30 position. So 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 2:30. That's 4.5 twelfths. So I've got 5.5 twelfths plus 4.5 twelfths. Okay, that's quite a lot. That's quite a lot of the pedal stroke, and that's on both legs. Okay, that's on both legs that are working. Now, that's how you apply your running muscles to cycling. Okay, that's also going to make it so that you're sharing the load much more evenly. All right, you're getting your hamstrings, your calves, your quads, your hamstrings, your calves, and your glutes on the way back, but then you're getting your quads and your hip flexors on the way forwards. Now, what that means is that you're not going to be fighting the muscles that are in control of the movement. Now, you guys also know that when you do a squat, you're going up and down. Okay, there's no forwards or backwards action going into that movement. It's purely an up and down movement. Okay, so what do I get when I do an up and down movement? Okay, if I squat and I go down deep into my squat and I come up, I've got my quads and my glutes basically pushing me upwards. Now my quads are now fighting my glutes. Now that is never ever going to end well for your quads, and remember, 2 of your quads are also hip flexors. Okay, So if your quads are fighting your glutes and your glutes are gonna win the battle, that's gonna end really bad for your quads, okay? Now think about it, how many people do you know, maybe you guys are included in this, who have tight hip flexors? A lot of you. I would probably guess that most of you have tight hip flexors. Now if you're someone who is pushing down on the pedals and not stroking it under and over in an elliptical nature, okay, then you're going to end up with these doing a hell of a lot of work battling with this, okay? So remember, we don't want muscles to be battling, all right? We want muscles to be producing the movement that they are designed to produce. And when we have what's called reciprocal inhibition, we have a good relationship between the muscles that drive the leg backwards. Those muscles that drive the leg backwards will work, and the muscles that pull the leg forwards will relax. And we don't want to create a scenario where we have it built into our brain, into our nervous system, that we have glute and quad fighting together, because all we get is a downward pressure, which is an upwards movement on your body, okay? Now, that is not what you want. You want to get that under, over the top movement, and that will make it so that you're not getting as fatigued. You're not going to get anywhere near as fatigued. Over a period of time, you're going to have to work on this, and it will feel tough at first, but you'll feel the amount of power that you get instantly. And after you've spent a little bit of time working on this, you'll totally see how this is going to be beneficial. You're also, as I said, you're sharing the load. You're sharing the load between your hamstrings, your calves, your glutes, and your quads and your hip flexors and your tibialis muscles down the front here, okay? Now, if you're sharing that load, you're not putting all of the burden onto one muscle group, which is going to then go anaerobic. It's going to start to build up lactate, and it's going to get really, really burnt out really quick. And then when you get off the bike and you try and run and your quad seize up, that's not a good thing to happen, okay? Try this pedal action. Like I said, you're pushing backwards from the 330 to around about the 830 position, and then it will be a change of direction from around about 10 to about 230, okay? That's what you want to get, that's what you want to achieve, okay? You'll feel how much it's going to benefit you when you get off the bike and you try and run and you've got all your running muscles already engaged. Just one last thing before I go. This is one thing you never ever want to happen. Never. Now, if you're someone who pushes down on those pedals and you drop the heel, you're loading up this calf in a really non-beneficial way, okay? So, heel always stays lifted, maybe not quite as much as I've got it there, but over time it will develop. Okay, so heel always stays lifted, always. If you drop that heel there, you've got this lengthening when this and this are shortening, and in effect actually, if this lengthens, this and this are not going to be able to do their job, okay? So whatever you do, don't drop the heels and don't push down, because you'll find dead spots and your muscles will be fighting each other, okay? Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and share. I really need you guys to start sharing these videos out for me. Really help me get my message out, my work out there to other people to help them benefit from what you're benefiting from. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.